The notion that maybe this world is another planet's hell is one of those statements that, while simple at first glance, unfolds into an abyss of profound philosophical, theological, and existential reflections. It taps into humanity's ancient and enduring preoccupation with the nature of suffering, the meaning of existence, and the possibility of parallel realities or cosmic justice. This idea is not merely a bleak observation about the hardships of life on Earth, it is a lens through which we can re-examine our beliefs about good and evil, paradise and punishment, and the limitations of human perception. Whether interpreted literally, metaphorically, or as a darkly whimsical thought experiment, this concept challenges us to confront the unsettling possibility that our world, and our understanding of it, might be far more complex and paradoxical than we assume. One of the most immediate reactions to this idea is the question of what it means to call something hell. In many religious and cultural traditions, hell represents a place of torment, a realm reserved for punishment and suffering. It is often depicted as a fiery underworld or a dimension where lost souls are subjected to endless agony for their moral failings. Yet, the specifics of what constitutes hell vary widely across belief systems. In Christianity, hell is often portrayed as an eternal separation from divine grace. In Buddhism, there are multiple realms of suffering, each reflecting the consequences of different karmic actions. In Hindu cosmology, hells, known as narakas, are temporary, places where souls undergo purification before reincarnating. Even in secular contexts, hell is used metaphorically to describe states of despair, chaos, or hardship, whether it's a living hell of war, poverty, or emotional turmoil. When we apply this concept to our world, it begs the question, what if the struggles and sorrows we experience on Earth are not random but rather indicative of a cosmic order in which this plane of existence is inherently punitive? Interpreting the world as a kind of hell invites reflection on the nature of human suffering. Earth is undeniably a place where life is often brutal, unpredictable, and marked by loss. Natural disasters, disease, war, and injustice are constant fixtures of human history. Philosophers like Arthur Schopenhauer and Friedrich Nietzsche wrestled with this harsh reality. Schopenhauer famously argued that life itself is characterized by suffering, driven by an insatiable will that perpetuates endless striving and dissatisfaction. For Schopenhauer, the world could indeed be viewed as a place of torment, not because of divine punishment but because of the very nature of existence. Nietzsche, by contrast, embraced the chaos and struggle of life, viewing suffering as a crucible for strength and meaning. If Earth is hell, Nietzsche might argue, then it is also a place where one can defy despair and forge greatness. Religious thinkers have also grappled with the concept of a world steeped in suffering. In Christian theology, the idea of the fallen world suggests that Earth became a place of hardship due to humanity's original sin. This interpretation aligns with the idea that our world could be perceived as a kind of exile, a place where human beings are tested, refined, or even punished. Meanwhile, in Gnostic traditions, the material world itself is viewed as a flawed or corrupt creation, a prison for the divine spark within each soul. The notion that we might be living in another planet's hell resonates with Gnostic ideas of spiritual imprisonment and the quest for liberation from an imperfect reality. However, this idea also opens the door to scientific and speculative interpretations. In science fiction, the concept of parallel universes or multiverses suggests that there may be countless versions of reality, each with its own laws, outcomes, and conditions. If such parallel worlds exist, it is not inconceivable that one could be radically worse, or better, than another. The idea that our universe could be someone else's dystopia taps into this speculative framework, inviting us to imagine how different forms of existence might be experienced by beings with perspectives vastly different from our own. This line of thought leads to existential questions about relativity and perspective. What we perceive as suffering may be normal or even desirable in another context. Conversely, what we consider paradise may be unbearable to someone else. The concept forces us to confront the subjectivity of our experiences and the possibility that our definitions of good and bad are limited by our narrow vantage point. On a psychological level, the idea that Earth is another planet's hell can serve as a metaphor for the mental and emotional struggles that characterize the human condition. Many people wrestle with feelings of alienation, as though they do not belong in this world or that life itself is absurd and meaningless. Existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus explored this sense of disconnection, portraying life as a constant confrontation with a universe that is indifferent to human hopes and fears. Sartre's assertion that hell is other people underscores the idea that much of our suffering is tied to relationships, social expectations, and the inability to escape judgment. Camus, on the other hand, embraced the absurdity of life and urged us to find meaning in the act of living itself, even in a world that might seem hellish. In this sense, the idea that our world could be hell is not necessarily a cause for despair. It can also be an invitation to seek resilience, purpose, and joy despite adversity. Furthermore, this concept raises profound ethical questions about our responsibility to alleviate suffering. If Earth is, in some sense, a realm of punishment or hardship, does that absolve us of the duty to create a better world, or does it heighten our obligation to bring light into the darkness? Many philosophical and religious traditions emphasize the importance of compassion, service, and justice as ways to counteract the inherent suffering of life. Whether or not one believes in a divine order or an afterlife, the idea that we live in a world marked by suffering underscores the urgency of addressing issues like poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation. If this world is hellish, then acts of kindness, creativity, and solidarity become acts of rebellion against despair. Finally, the concept that this world is another planet's hell invites us to reflect on the possibility of hope and transformation. Even in the bleakest interpretations of life's hardships, there is often a glimmer of redemption, the idea that suffering can lead to growth, that adversity can foster resilience, and that even the harshest conditions can inspire acts of love, courage, and beauty. In Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, the journey through hell is not an end in itself but a necessary passage on the path to enlightenment and paradise. Perhaps the notion that our world is hell serves as a reminder that, even in the midst of pain, there is the potential for transcendence. In contemplating this idea, we are reminded of the vast complexity of existence and the many ways in which humanity has sought to understand its place in the cosmos. Whether viewed as a literal possibility, a philosophical metaphor, or a playful provocation, the statement challenges us to question our assumptions, confront our fears, and seek meaning in the midst of uncertainty. It invites us to see our world not only as a place of hardship but also as a space where courage, empathy, and wonder can flourish. It is a thought that unsettles and inspires, a reminder that even the darkest speculations about our existence can lead us to new perspectives on what it means to be human.